Happy Friday, everybody. It's July 16th, 9 a.m. my time. Prices of Bitcoin currently at 31,273. So it looks like we have once again broken back inside this low, this yellow line that you see, right? So what we did yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, we set this low, came up all the way, nuked it yesterday morning, but then recovered. Actually, it wasn't even a nuke. Let me change my vocabulary for this. It was a slight breach of this level. Then we came back above this level to sort of show that, hey, maybe there's not enough strength yesterday to break this low. And so we deviated here, came back, deviated above. Now we're back under again. So this kind of over under movement. All right. When you have this kind of movement around a key low that you want broken, it's really not the best sign from the bearish perspective that this low is about to get hammered. It may later on, but for now, I think what this low is trying to say is, hey, I'm having a tough time breaking this area convincingly, which could mean that there are some pretty significant buyers stacked up here, or it could mean that the sell pressure here and here and here, it just is not that strong to completely make this area capitulate. All right, so something that I had said yesterday evening during our video was I closed out my short positions because, again, on Fridays and weekends, there's really not a whole lot of activity that takes place, especially to the downside. Sometimes you get short squeezes here and there. Like, I was expecting price to maybe pop up towards this area during the weekend, which is still possible, but I really don't know, right? Like now it just seems like, okay, maybe we might be just range bound in this area until like Monday or something. Or maybe it is possible that from here we nuke further today itself during the US market hours, right? That the market opens in about 40 minutes or so. It's just rare that on Fridays there are big moves that happen in the markets. That's just my experience. Okay. So what we have now here is a very peculiar area of price kind of still sitting at this low, sitting at this 31,000 support, and really not doing a whole lot. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes. If there's continued weakness here, I could probably say that there might be a short position, like say from here, stop here, right? And then your first target profit is 30 flat, so 30,000 flat, and then yearly open, which is 29,000. Okay, if you really want to take that bet. If you don't want to, you can just sit tight, right? You can just sit tight going into the weekend, enjoy the gains that you had from this week. Hopefully you were short. If you're still short, kudos, right? I've mentioned numerous assets to y'all that I was either shorting or considering shorting, or that you can, do your research on to short. 1 inch, Rune, Solana, FTT. I mean, basically everything under the sun that's altcoins, you could have shorted and made some money, right? And we did, So far, what I'm thinking of the market is, okay, well, if we're getting this kind of, sell pressure going into the weekend, I'm hoping that either we nuke today itself, and for say something like Matic, we head towards this low around 75 cents, or I'm hoping that what Matic does going into Saturday and Sunday is comes back towards this 95-cent marker. This is a pretty key SR level right here, right? We even tried to wick through this, failed, closed above, wicked it right here, it failed, closed above. So I'm hoping that maybe we come back to 95 cents, maybe like this area right here around $1. And that might be another shorting opportunity, say come, Saturday or Sunday, right? So short there, or you can wait for price to do something like this, come back inside, reject 95 cents, short there, and then target profit 75 or even, 67 right here. Many different ways to go about it. The only thing I wouldn't necessarily do is try to assume that we have to pump up over the weekend and then you want to go long. Just remember that the trend in the market is down, right? So all you have to do is, if you think about it from buying the dip opportunity perspective, right? You guys know very well, okay, when we were in a bull market, and you saw a movement like this up and you saw a pullback, you'd see that as a buying opportunity. You see a pullback, buy. Pullback or consolidation, definitely buy, right? Now it's just the same thing, except it's the other way around, right? Every pullback that you get, you short, push short, right? That's exactly been our formula for the last almost month and a half, 2 months. Okay. So hopefully y'all get that. You know that we are overwhelmingly in a bearish trending market. All you really have to do is, follow this downtrend. That's really it. Take your money wherever you can get it though, because the thing about bear markets is they're extremely tedious, very tricky, because sometimes you do have, squeezes on random weekends where the prices pump 10, 20, 30%. And from wherever you shorted, you feel like shit, you're at a loss and you don't know how much higher it can go, right? Especially in altcoins, like sometimes they just have random spikes up for 20, 30, 40%. So I understand the need for wanting to be cautious, but just know that, again, the trend is on your side. You can size down if you want to, but I personally think shorting or selling is probably the best trade. Okay. Now, I told you all yesterday that pretty much all the monthly candles on any altcoin you pick, whether it be Ethereum, Solana, Matic, everything really, it kind of looks like crap. Now, I understand that there's 15 days left, right? Typically what happens is for the last month and a half or so, I think actually the last 2 monthly candles, I kept kind of mentioning to y'all in the middle of the month that, hey, middle of the month, we don't really know how this candle is going to end. But I think we know for the most part that it's okay for us to now follow the trend of the market and follow where the strength is in the market and say, well, it doesn't matter what happens in the last 15 days of the month. Like we know statistically there's a higher chance that these monthlies are going to end like shit. Possibly July, maybe even August, right? Until we see a clear turnaround and reversal of the trend. And that's quite visible typically on the daily. Now, dailies obviously giving us the vibes that the whole market has become a complete, shit show, right? So that kind of tells us that, okay, well, monthlies are probably going to be pretty ugly, So for the most part, one can assume that monthly candles on Matic, monthly candles on Ethereum, I'm expecting them to close pretty bad. And again, I think the people that don't really want to believe this are those that just, I don't know, either are in denial or they just don't want to, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, point is, we know exactly what's happening in the market, and there is an overwhelming, sell pressure in the market. Okay, so we just kind of follow the trend, and we should just assume that the pop-ups that you get could be good shorting opportunities. Okay, but again, just be careful. We're going into a weekend, low volume, low liquidity. Don't get caught in long short squeeze traps, right? Don't just assume that just because you're seeing a big green candle that you have to hop on the long side. Now, let's move on to the gaming tokens. Okay, so now this is something fun that I'm excited to discuss. I told y'all that the one thing that you want to follow in a trend, in a parabolic trend, is this trend line right here. And guess what? It broke. So Axie, from the price of almost $6 all the way to the point where it hit 28, okay, it held this trend line. We breached this trend line now. So for the most part, statistically, there's a high probability that this is the top. Okay, even if Axie goes back, say for another squeeze or double tops right here, that could be another opportunity. typically what will happen once a trend line breaches, this thing may head down further, push back up, then on a daily basis, this will create a lower high. See, what's happening right now on the daily is all you see is still a trend up, a gravestone doji, and now a follow through candle. But what everybody else sees is this. They don't see the breach of the trend, as you can see right here. So what you want to follow is, if you want to go short on this, again, size up small, assume that Axie may just one more time try to make itself back up towards this high. That could be another shorting opportunity towards, this high right here around $27, $28, $29. Okay. But I would say with pretty high confidence that Axie is topped, or if not very, very close to a top, very close. Okay. Now, what you do ideally want to see though, okay, ideally you want to see this thing come up and roll over. And then at the same time, you want to see that volume kind of be at a lower high. Now that's already been happening, right? From this point, from 7th of July onward, this thing is actually creating lower highs in volume. So where is 7th of July? That's this candle right here. So from this on the way up, volume has been declining. That's a clear divergence in volume versus price. It's a sign of exhaustion. And that exhaustion finally led to this breach. Okay. So now what do? Well, like I said, this is your shorting opportunity. On the way back up, you can even add to the short, right? If it does pop up a little bit. Okay. And the other thing is, all the people who are probably chasing, what was it, SLP, Sand, Alice, all these other, gaming tokens, which really are not doing anything, say as great as Axie, they might be feeling a similar hit, because the only reason these probably went up is probably because of the laggard, chasing of the trade. So that means that with Sand and Alice and SLP, as Alice goes down, or I'm sorry, as Axie goes down, I would say these are going to go down too. Now, same thing with Sand, right? Has a decent uptrend. Okay. Even over here, one can make the argument that higher high, lower high in volume, right? But you want to see this pop up one more time, and then you want to see another decline in volume, and that could be your shorting opportunity. Okay. So going into the weekend, right, these gaming tokens, they might be providing you some pretty good shorting opportunities. Again, it's not necessary that you have to short the tippy top. You could even wait on a daily basis, right? Wait for the daily if you want to, for this thing to go up like this, come back around, pop back up, put in a lower high, and then you can short here. You don't have to be a hero and short now. I'm just letting y'all know that the things that I was looking for on Axie, on these gaming tokens, have come to fruition, right? I mean, the main driver of this move, which is Axie, has broken trend, and there's always consequences for that. So we just kind of follow this thing, see if it kind of gives us pops back up, and that's your shorting opportunity. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Hey, I think looks like BTC got a nice pump. Yeah, see, there you go. Okay. Again, another reason why Fridays and the weekends kind of are shitty to trade. You just get random movements like this. It came back all the way down here, pop back up. Now, let's just say, from here, you don't want to short. If you want to go long, guess what? In this area, you want this yellow line, this yellow area to hold, right? So that what you could do is you could long here, okay? Or wait for the return back to this area to bounce, and long stops down here, targets above this high and above these equal highs right here. That's if you believe that the market is going to squeeze into the weekend. Again, I really don't know I'm probably going to just take the weekend off, try not to trade. If I see some scalping opportunities, I'll only trade on my DGen account, but that's really it. Let's see. BofA offering Bitcoin futures news. Think that helped the pump. Yeah, maybe. I mean, temporarily, right? Anything can happen like in the near term, in terms of news and stuff. But for the most part, we know really no news has been getting factored positively for BTC, other than maybe we can make the argument that it is helping create a bottom here, right? That could be a good sign too. So B of A, MicroStrategy buying a little bit back here, right? All these things, it could very well mean that good news is being absorbed in the market, and it's maybe helping create a base that refuses to break, right? The other thing that I was thinking about was this kind of price action, right? I was asking myself that, is it possible that this kind of price action anywhere close to resembles, say this sideways movement and then pop up? I think this is probably not really the same thing, but what may be somewhat similar is maybe what happened back here. But now, in this area, technically, did this move happen or is it yet to come? Right? That's the real question. Like one can make the argument that this move is analogous to this sell-off right here, right? But to me, what the market kind of shows me is, well, holy crap, we already made this kind of waterfall effect down here, and yet prices keep kind of putting in, this bleeding movement here, which is not the case as I remember back here, because this was a clear consolidation like of higher lows. This one, I mean, I guess you could say this is technically a higher low, right? But this bleed right here, I mean, that's really intense. And I showed you all that there's like this ironclad defense from the bears in this red line that just says you are not getting through anytime soon. So unless that breaks, I have a hard time kind of calling this similar to what happened in BTC in 2018 bottom. But it was just something that I was thinking of, like, what if this is the bottom and that we continuously keep bleeding near the lows, yet we're unable to break it? And all the bad news in China and all this stuff has already been factored in, and maybe things like, this B of A news and all these other small pieces of good news that are coming out, they're slowly being baked into the market by absorption. And I think about this quite often. Like, don't just think that, I'm constantly bearish. It's just that when I look at all those things, I ask myself, well, then that should have been somewhat reflected in, say options activity, right? That should have been somewhat reflected in, I don't know, maybe even like open interest, right? Like you see clues of that somewhere, right? Somewhere, somehow you get to recognize that, okay, something is happening where a floor is being put in. But that just does not seem like the case. And the other thing, here's the other thing that I believe why BTC could get dragged down further is solely because of altcoins. Altcoins are still way too high. Like, I know people think, oh, well, Rune has come from 21 to $5, or FTT has come off from 61 to 24. Yeah, these may seem like cheap prices, but there is still a lot of activity that happened in altcoins in terms of the unrealized gains, these right here, and many other altcoins that I feel like the market needs to wipe out, especially something like Matic. Like Matic literally last year on around November or December, it was like maybe 5 cents. What was it exactly? Let me check that real quick. Yeah, see, right. This is December, November and December. It was like a penny. It's at 84 cents. So that means Matic is up 84x still. I mean, that's huge, right? This is one of the main reasons why I feel like I don't think BTC can bottom just yet, because there's so many unrealized gains, paper gains in the market that need to be wiped out. So again, just kind of going back and forth and thinking about it. But I will say that, listen, if you are someone who wants to buy BTC for the long term, I mean, this is a pretty solid price, right? Like you're already 50% off the highs, okay, down here. Maybe we go down further, but how much further do we go down? Do we go to 27, 26, 25? And at that point, are you going to be a buyer again? Right? If so, then yeah, you can dollar cost average. The most ideal and brutal scenario I would figure is something that I mentioned about this channel right here, the channel that we built, then we broke out from, and hopefully, if I'm right, maybe we return back into. If we return back into this channel, let's just say by August at some point, that marks the price anywhere between 22,000 and about 18,000. Okay, that little box right there that you see, that is where we might land. So that's another almost 30-40% off the current prices from this area down here, 30 down to about 40-43%. So I'm trying to think of like all the different situations that we can maybe be prepared for, in the coming days. This way you're not caught off guard, right? This way you've thought about every scenario, whether price goes to 25, 26, whether it nukes to 20 or somewhere in this channel, right? Same thing with altcoins. I mean, I've told y'all multiple times that a lot of these altcoins, I would figure that they come back to this big accumulation range that they had and just tap it, either tap it or run it, slightly deeper, but come somewhere in this area. So for example, for sushi, which is one of my biggest, biggest watch list altcoins, right? It's about 40-45% away from this area that I'm watching, about $3 to $4, right? So just something to keep in mind. Okay. Rune had some hack or attack or whatever yesterday. It's pretty far away from this $1 zone. So, once again, keep that in mind. Right. What about, what else? Link is really weird because Link already broke back like basically inside the previous summer's high right here, and it rejected it. Now it's starting to just roll over further and further. Next big support levels for Link are 14 and then 1150, this yellow marker that I have. And by the way, it's totally fine if you want to leave some stink bids, right? Stink bids just in case things happen over the weekend or you're away and you don't really remember the levels that I've been talking about. You can mark this stuff on your own charts. You can leave some bids there on your own trading account, right? Or you can leave some alerts there on TradingView itself, right? These will help you kind of realize, hey, this is the level that I'm watching for this particular altcoin. Okay. All right. Anything else y'all want me to cover? Oh, by the way, the QCP Capital, they actually wrote up a nice review, a summary of what's kind of happened. Make sure y'all check it out, okay? I thought it was pretty cool. All right, so anything else? Did I miss anything as we head into the weekend? Bid spots for Wi-Fi or Aave? Yes, so let's check that out actually. I like Aave, Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty strong, like ironclad support. Breaking this, I mean, you kind of just look at the next level, which is probably down here around like 19 to about 21. So right here. Let me make that green for you. Whoops, what the hell just happened? Let me make it darker. What is going on? There we go. Okay. That level right there. I mean, all these altcoins are kind of just sitting at their critical support. You would figure that if this gets breached, holy crap, it's going to be like just a dam bursting, Aave. Let's look at Aave. Yeah, I mean, it came back right inside, 335. I mean, look at the round trip that Aave had. I mean, this is beautiful, right? So I specifically remember discussing Aave when we had this sell-off, and I told y'all that, hey, in this area, whether it was Aave or many other altcoins, like you want to consider getting out or hedging or shorting or just sitting in cash, right? But I remember that from here, the support that I was looking forward to holding was 279. And then what we saw was this, and then this. And then I said, okay, well, it looks like we're breaching that area. Then the next target is this wick, which is exactly what we did. We swept that wick, but then guess what? We went all the way back, traveled from the low of 170 to 335, and now we're headed back down. Right. So, I mean, just an amazing way of kind of Aave respecting technicals to the dollar, and it's been quite well. So what do we do for Aave? Right. I mean, I think the most obvious area that's really strong support where we just found support on is there. Okay. So Aave breaking under 279, unable to hold above, then we kind of look for our targets down here, right? Sort of exact targets would be, about 210 to about 185, 210 to about 185. I mean, and if that doesn't hold, then you're kind of screwed, right? Then you're like really going to aim for this wick low, which is around 145. And if that breaks also somewhere in this block right here, between 127 and down to about 110. So I don't know how it's going to go, but yeah, alts are kind of positioned really ugly right now going into the weekend. But hey, if you want to be a buyer on the way down, I've listed some levels for y'all. Okay. Anything else? So we spoke about Axie. We spoke about some of the gaming tokens, right? Whether it be Sand or Alice or SLP, all you have to do is look at Axie, right? What you could do is, I like to just split my screens into 4, right? And I say, okay, so, here's Axie, right? Let's put this on the 1-hour chart. I already know that Axie kind of broke its trend. Okay, I know that. Now over here, you just put up Sand. Okay, let's turn this off. All right. So this one is going to be SLP. Okay, or the hourly. This one is going to be Alice. These are all, I think, the laggard plays, right? I mean, I'm sure I'm missing some, but point is, those are the ones that you want to be paying attention to. Okay. And these are the ones that you can potentially short. As Alice, pops back up, these might pop up with it. And this is how you find the correlations. Like, hey, which one moves, strongly with Alice? And as Axie comes into resistance, which one of these is looking like the best short? Okay. So just like the past few days, as people saw gaming tokens as a potential, long opportunity, well, maybe going into the next week or two, these might be the best shorting opportunities. What goes up must come down, right? All right. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time. So if there's no more questions, I'll wrap it up. All right, no more questions. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, folks. Have a great rest of your Friday, and we'll catch up soon. Cheers.